This is Brian Carpenter, the minister of the podcast at immortalself.org. I just wanted to say something that's just really important. How everybody passes by the person flying the sign, and it's real difficult. And I just wanted to share with you that when Jesus came along, who we know as Jesus came along, there was no Dante's Inferno hasn't been published. What we know of heaven and hell and the lake of fire and brimstone. Yeah, there is a quote of the lake and fire of brimstone in Revelations, but he wasn't, anyway, heaven and hell, right? And so most people either don't care, which I don't know why they don't care about heaven, hell. Maybe they don't believe. Okay, you don't believe, that's fine. But are you a good person? And here's the thing. Jesus was talking to the Pharisee about eternal life. Eternal life. Because how old are you, and how long has our science say that we've been around? We know at least 6,000 years of civilization. And so, and what generation from Adam and Eve, from the proverbial Adam and Eve, are we? I mean, you're like 6,000 divided by 20. That's insane. 300 generations or more. And so Jesus, he introduced the concept of heaven and hell and eternal life. And actually Dante really introduced the concept of hell in the drawings and fire and hell that modern Western civilization thinks of. And but eternal life is something that is important. And the thing is that most people, I don't want to be around in heaven. Most people are selfish pieces of shit, and I don't want to be around them for the rest of their eternity. So I'll send them to Pluto or Mars or so ask yourself, where is your mansion going to be? You might be resurrected, yeah. Jesus, or the God, or half man, half God, Jesus, the King, the Lord of all, King of Kings, he was half God, and because Mary was his mother and half man, and he was able to conquer death, right? If you this is the theology that's taught. If you're atheist, that's great. Most atheists are good people, and they donate to charity, and they work at the soup kitchen if they don't have money. And but here's the thing. And if you if you're Wiccan, that's great too. I mean, nature, magic, and all that. I want to learn. And even if you're in Africa and voodoo, I want to know what makes that so powerful. But eternal life is something that Jesus promises to those that deserve it. And let me share with you in the Bible what he's talking about, because you probably haven't heard these scriptures in a while, probably even from your pastor or minister. It's the parable of the Good Samaritan. And it starts at Luke 10, verse 25. And behold, a lawyer stood up to put him to the test, saying, Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? He said to him, What is written in the law? How do you read it? And he answered, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. That is the only commandment Jesus really only commandment that we need to worry about. When we're talking about obey the commandments, it's only one. Love your neighbor and love yourself and love God. Maybe it's 3, but still love, right? Anyway, and he answered, okay. And he said unto him, you have answered correctly. Jesus said unto him, you have answered correctly. Do this and you will live. But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, so this lawyer's probably one of those selfish people we don't want to be around, right? And who is my neighbor? Who is my neighbor? So you're supposed to love God, love your neighbor. And you gotta love yourself too if you're gonna love your neighbor as yourself, right? Anyways, he's like, who is my neighbor? Is that your friends, family, friends? Anyway, Jesus replied, this is the parable. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers, who stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. So when we see a guy at 7-Eleven and you're working at 7-Eleven and you say, you got to get out of here, this is my property. Okay, well, maybe the homeless bum deserved to be a homeless bum, but most likely he's mentally ill and has some other issues. Maybe he lost his job. Maybe he was working in an at-will employment. Do you work in an at-will employment? How well is your job security? Especially when technology, first of all, what happened to the jobs when we opened the borders more? They went to out of America, right? And immigrants took more of the jobs. And you think that, and why are you still living with your mom and dad? Because there's no jobs. And when the technology comes for driving, for automobile driving, self-driving cars, well, I don't know if you've ever Ubered or Lyft, but next time, in a few years, maybe 5-10 years, there's not going to be a person in the driver's seat. But not only that, the second major employer, out of everybody in America, the second most employed job is in transportation. That is going to go away. Boom. If you do if most of your job is paperwork, artificial intelligence, gone. What are we going to do? What? I don't even think Trump and his supporters would know what the hell to do. Bernie Sanders wouldn't even he just asked you for $2.73 every day. Anyway, but he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, who is my neighbor? Jesus replied, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers. He was stripped, naked, and beaten, and then they left him for dead, right? Now, verse 31. Now, by chance, a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Ew. Jew, I don't want to be associated with that unclean thing. He's probably drunk and passed out. So likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. Yeah, good luck to you. God bless you. I'll pray for you. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was. And when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back. So he picked up the half-dead dude put him on his horse, on his donkey, and took him to the inn, to the hotel, and said, here's the money for the night, and if he needs more, I'll pay you when I get back. Which of these three do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers? He said, the Lord, the one who showed him mercy. And Jesus said to him, you go and do likewise.